All right, guys, what's going down, man? This is your boy, DJ Just J with Just T, your humble host of The Soto You Dig. Guys, what's going down, man? Today is July the 23rd. Today is Monday. It's a beautiful day outside. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. No matter where you are in the world, we appreciate you guys being here at The Soto You Dig. Do me a favor when you guys come in, man. If you would, hit that thumbs up for your boy. It shows a lot of support for the show, and it lets other people know that we are live. So if you would, hit that thumbs up for me. All right, when you guys come in. So as you guys know, man, that's the easiest way to show support for the show. If you guys also want to send me stories or anything like that, email address is right here, thesotoyoudig@gmail.com. As well as if you guys want to show some monetary support for the show, we have PayPal, we have Patreon, and we have Venmo. All of them are titled at DJ Just JOK. If you guys feel it in your heart, support the show and support what we do here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a shout out so the people that can hear me, say something in the chat, type a little something in the chat, say hi, whatever, type in your city, and I'll give you guys a shout out, okay? All right, guys, we'd like to welcome you guys here to the show. This is your host of the evening, DJ Just J with Just T, your host. And what I want to do is I want to bring you guys a story that I thought was important. This is coming out of Florida, so we're going to chill on the Chicago stories for a little bit. I thought that this story was important for a number of reasons. Number one, because it's another shooting of a black man involved. And number two, it's a father involved in this story. So I definitely wanted to talk about that. And what I also want to do is let you guys know what I think about this story and how we can continue to prevent violence going forward. This is another example of something that very well easily could have been avoided. Olive, if you want to become a mod, then what you got to do is contribute to the platform. Usually when people make enough contributions to the platform, it's usually something that I'll give just as a symbol and a token of my appreciation. But I definitely want you to consider being someone that contributes to the platform. And eGoozes me left you some links there, so if you want to utilize those, cool. But normally, like I say, these are for people that normally contribute on a regular basis, because I don't really have a way other than giving a moderator wrench to people that donate on a regular basis. So that's up to you if you want to do that. All right. So what you have on the screen is a young man that recently lost his life, and I'll give you guys some background story before I show you guys the video on him. And if I can get these ads to get off the screen, that would be totally amazing. Right now, his name is Markeis McGlockton. McGlockton, and he was age 28, and he was shot and killed during an argument over a handicapped parking space in Clearwater, Florida on Thursday. Now, Glockton's girlfriend, her name is Brittany Jacobs, Britany, Jacobs, Jacobs, spoke with Good Morning America Monday, and the mother broke down in tears as she spoke about witnessing the shooting with their three young children, because there were children that were there. I think at least one of them walked into the store with him. Okay. Now, she said that the gunman, whose name is Michael Dẹạdly, it's a really weird name, Michael Dẹạdly, which is Michael spelled traditionally, and then Drekka, Dẹạdly. I don't know if I gave you guys any pictures of him or not. I don't even know if any of them are really out there yet. Let me see. No, that's definitely not him. So we'll wait on that. At least you guys have the name. So if you want to Google search that and look it up, then, you know, feel free to look up some information on him. But surveillance footage shows McGlockton coming to Jacobs' defense and shoving Dẹạdly to the ground. And Dẹạdly pulled out his legally carried handgun and fired a single shot while down on the ground. So at this point, the gunman will not be facing charges because of Florida's Stand Your Ground self-defense law. And that's where all of this problem starts, okay? We got about 155 people watching. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. I'm going to not only tell you guys about this story, I'm going to tell you guys about the Stand Your Ground law. So without any further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the video from this story. And then I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys about the stand your ground law, because I don't think a lot of people understand it. I don't even think a lot of people even care, but the laws are important. They're there for a reason, right? So let me go ahead and get this on the screen for you guys and read off the fair usage. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. All right, guys, here's the initial story.
Will not charge a Florida man for killing another man in a parking lot after an argument. Surveillance video shows Michael Draco was pushed over by Markeis McGlockton and responded with a single gunshot. Florida's Stand Your Ground law allows people to respond with deadly force when they believe their lives are in danger. Protesters gathered at the scene yesterday demanding justice for McGlockton. Meg Oliver, who is in Clearwater, Florida, spoke to his girlfriend. Meg, good morning.
John, good morning. As you can see, there's a small memorial outside the store for McGlockton. The family had parked in this handicapped spot. McGlockton took his 5-year-old son inside to buy snacks. Less than 3 minutes later, he was gunned down for parking here illegally.
He was just trying to protect me and his kids.
Brittany Jacobs saw her boyfriend of 9 years, Markeis McGlockton, shot and killed in front of her. Last Thursday, they went to a convenience store with their 3 children. McGlockton walked inside with their 5-year-old son. That's when Michael Draco approached Jacobs. She says he berated her for parking in a handicapped spot without a permit.
He wanted me to, move my car, but, I have my right to park anywhere I want to park.
Surveillance footage shows McGlockton walk out of the store and shove Draco to the ground. Seconds later, Draco pulled out his gun and fired a single shot into McGlockton's chest. The 28-year-old stumbled back into the store and collapsed in front of his son. What did he take from you?
Man. My soul, my partner, we did everything together. It's tough.
Draco has a concealed weapons permit and told police he shot McGlockton because he feared for his life. The sheriff's office says he is protected by Florida's Stand Your Ground law, which allows people to use deadly force when fearing imminent death or great bodily harm without a duty to try to escape the danger.
He had to shoot to defend himself. And those are the facts, and that's the law.
But Jacob says McGlockton backed away from Draco after he pushed him.
This is wrong, because all my man was trying to do is protect his girl like anybody else would.
The couple's 4-month-old son and 3-year-old daughter were inside the car during the shooting. Jacobs told me that she learned Draco wouldn't be charged from the news. CBS News has not been able to reach Draco for comment. The state attorney's office will have the final say on whether to press charges. Gail?
All right. Thank you very much, Meg.
All right, man. For you guys out there that believe whether this was justified or whether it was not justified, you tell me. What ended up happening was she had pulled up, from my understanding. He got out with his son. He walked into the store. There was a man that pulled up and wanted to take advantage of the handicap spot, okay, which is his car over there on the top right corner. And so what he did was he went over and asked them if they could move out of that spot, and asked if he went and looked at the car first. He examined the car to see if he could find a handicap parking sticker. Didn't see it, the decal in the window, didn't see the decal in the back of the car. And so he went to ask questions at the car. So he was basically just talking. I guess either she had the window up or she might have had the window down, but he could hear her, and he was questioning. Maybe he questioned her in a way that, maybe he could have been yelling. He could have been saying anything. So I guess that part of the story will come out. But nonetheless, the dude comes out on 10 with a great attitude and comes out in full force, boom, shoves this man to the ground. He flipped over. You guys saw that on the video. And then the dude pulled out his gun because he knows the damn law. So the question is was he wrong? Another Trayvon Martin story. Thank you. That's exactly what this is. Because what we didn't have with Trayvon Martin was what? Video. With this particular case, you have video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tell you guys about what the law is when it comes to the 2018 Florida statutes, otherwise known as Stand Your Ground law. And this is going to be interesting. It's actually short, so you guys bear with me. Hit the thumbs up if y'all would. Let people know that we are live so I can, and for the people that didn't get a chance to see that, I have one more video coming up. I can't replay the video because I had to sync that video up. It's very difficult for me to do that. So whenever you guys are watching the show, you got to stay tuned in, okay? All right, now, under, let me see, justifiable use of force. Home protection, use or threatened use of deadly force, presumption of fear presumption of fear of death or great bodily harm. Okay? Number 1, a person who is in a dwelling or a residence in which a person has the right to be, has no duty to retreat, and has the right to stand his or her ground and use or threaten to use a non-deadly force against another when and to the extent that the person reasonably believes that such conduct is necessary to defend himself or herself or another against the other's imminent use of unlawful force, or B, deadly force, if he or she reasonably believes that using or threatening to use such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another, or to prevent the imminent commission of a forcible felony. Number 2, a person is presumed to have held a reasonable fear of imminent peril of death or great bodily harm to him or herself or another when using or threatening to use defensive force that is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily harm to another if A, the person against whom the defense force was used or threatened was in the process of unlawfully and forcibly entering or had unlawfully and forcibly entered a dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle, or if that person had removed or was attempting to remove another against that person's will from the dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle, and B, the person who uses or threatens to use defensive force knew or had reason to believe that an unlawful and enforceable entry or unlawful and forcible act was occurring or had occurred. Number 3, the presumption set forth in subsection 2 does not apply if A, the person against whom the defense force is used or threatened has the right to be in or is a lawful resident of the dwelling, resident, or vehicle, such as an owner, lessee, or title holder, and there is not an injunction for protection from violence or written pretrial supervision order of no contact against that person, or B, the person or persons sought to be removed is a child or grandchild or is otherwise in lawful custody or under the lawful guardianship of the person against whom the defensive force is used or threatened, or C, the person who uses or threatens to use defensive force is engaged in a criminal activity or is using the dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle to further a criminal activity, or D, the person against whom the defensive force is used or threatened is a law enforcement officer as defined in section 943.10, who enters or attempts to enter a building, who enters a dwelling, residence, or vehicle in the performance of his or her official duties, and the officer identified him or herself in accordance with any applicable law, or person using or threatening to use force knew or reasonably knew should have known that the person entering or attempting to enter was a law enforcement officer. Right? Number 4, a person who unlawfully and by force enters or attempts to enter a person's dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle is presumed to be doing so with intent to commit an unlawful act involving force or violence. As used in this section, the term dwelling, quote, dwelling, means a building or conveyance of any kind, including an attached porch, whether the building or conveyance is temporary or permanent, mobile or immobile, which has a roof over it, including a tent, and is designed to be occupied by people lodging therein at night. Or B, residence, quote unquote residence, meaning a dwelling in which a person resides either temporarily or permanently or is visiting as an invited guest. Vehicle, quote unquote vehicle, means a conveyance of any kind, whether or not motorized, is designed to transport people or property. You guys can make sure and look that up for yourself. Does this qualify under the Stand Your Ground law? Here is the link. Stand Your Ground law. Florida. Boom. So that way the people that watch this on the replay can actually see that link. They can click that link and check it out. All right. Now that's what the law says. So Florida's Stand Your Ground laws are being tested again as 28-year-old father was mortally wounded in front of his young children following an argument with another man over a handicapped parking space. The state's attorney's office is expected to review the case and make the final decision on whether it falls under the claim of self-defense under a law that first gained prominence in 2012 shooting of the death of an unarmed black teenager, Trayvon Martin. The state prosecutors could not immediately reach out for comment Monday. So for the people that maybe didn't understand what I was saying, or maybe it was just too much verbiage in there, just click that link, man. Click the link, go check it out for yourself, because it's actually relatively short as far as the law goes. So you guys can actually read that all on one page. Surveillance video from the Circle A convenience store in Clearwater last Thursday shows Markeis McGlockton, his girlfriend Brittany Jacobs, and their 3 young children pulling into a handicapped spot. Problem number 1. Why don't we as black people respect the laws and respect the rules? If you are not handicapped, if you do not have a handicap sticker, decal, or if you do and it's expired, you cannot park in the space. It is not right. It is not lawful. That is a fact. Stop arguing with things that are law, okay? Or change them. Change the laws. Put a pin. We'll come back to that. McGlockton ran into the store with their 5-year-old son. A man in a light-colored hat, later identified as Michael Draja, age 47, went up to the car, and he and Jacobs got into a verbal spat. Okay? Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Gualtieri said at a news conference Friday that the two were arguing over whether Jacobs could be in that parking space. I can almost tell you that they probably were not allowed to be in that space. Okay? As Jacobs stepped out of the car, McGlockton came out of the store and shoved Draja to the ground. And I'm telling you guys, he put hands on that dude. If he would have put hands on anybody, me or anybody else like that, it would have been a big, huge problem. It don't matter whether that person was white, black, Mexican, female. It don't matter. It don't matter if it was a dog he came out and pushed down to the ground like that. That was just outright ridiculous. As Jacob stepped out of the car, McGlockton came out of the store and shoved Draja to the ground. In response, Draja, while on the ground, reached and pulled out a gun of his pocket. Draja could be seen firing at McGlockton as the young father stepped away, and then then the dude shot. McGlockton was wounded in the chest and ran back into the store, where surveillance footage from inside showed him falling to the ground in front of his 5-year-old, which is horrible. But then again, like I say, people are going to feel certain ways about this. I don't feel like you should have been getting into a fight like this. It wasn't really a fight. He was much bigger and much younger than this dude. And he came and just shoved him like he was in some type of football game or something like that. So even if you want to say this man shouldn't have shot him in front of his kids, another thing that you would also say on the other hand is that he shouldn't have came out and pushed this man down in front of his own kids. But I digress. McGlockton later died at the hospital. Gualtieri said that the video does appear to show Draja protecting himself, So his agency does not have an authority to make an arrest unless we have probable cause that the person committed a crime. So they pretty much already ruled on this based on what they've seen, especially with it being on video from beginning to end. They quote, Markeis should not have gone up and slammed this guy to the ground. You can't be in the wrong and then ask for people to look at you as the victim. Okay? Just telling you guys out there. Markeis wouldn't have been dead if Markeis didn't slam this guy to the ground. I agree with that, Galtieri said. So Markeis has got skin in this game too. And the reason why it makes it justified and within the framework of, quote, stand your ground law is because of what Markeis did. He said that it will fall on the state to determine whether Dẹạdly was, quote, not entitled to use force in this circumstance. The sheriff, however, says the circumstances surrounding the shooting were not clear cut, and nor is this video clear cut either. Sorry about that. Y'all know Tommy goes through a lot of this whenever he's on videos. Sorry about that, guys. Y'all know Tommy goes through a lot of that whenever he's trying to do a story and just something will just start playing. So my apologies. Okay. Now, there is a pause, even if not for a couple seconds. There is a pause between the time Dẹạdly hits the ground and he shoots. That pause gives me pause, Galtieri said. That pause gives me some concern, and it goes back to what I said when I opened. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, which I do agree with that. McGlockton's father, Michael, said that his son was just standing up for a family he adored. I disagree with that. Markeis was a good man. He was all about his kids, Michael McGlockton said in an interview with NBC News on Monday. He wasn't out there looking for trouble, but he would stand up for his family, and that's exactly what he did. As a man, if you see someone confronting someone that you love, what are you going to do? You're going to run to their defense. You're going to try to protect them. And I'm telling you guys, that is the wrong course of action, is to fight people physically over so-called defending your family. If this dude wasn't trying to drag his wife or hit the car or anything like that, I think that that's total BS. Okay? I'll tell you guys that right now. Protecting your family isn't coming and striking someone, hitting someone, pushing someone, kicking someone, running over someone. That is simply having a verbal altercation with somebody. Because the other part that you're going to end up missing, which this guy clearly missed and it cost him his life, is that number one, Florida has this thing called the stand your ground law. And number two, he didn't know that the dude was armed. That's your bad, sir. Markeis, that's his bad. That's his family's bad. And that's his children's now going to have to deal with this bad. Okay? Now, let's keep going. Michael Rayner, a lawyer representing the dead man's family, added that Dẹạdly was so close to Jacob's car that she would have hit him if she had opened it. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Dẹạdly could not be reached for comment Friday. Probably good on his part that he don't say a damn word. Another Circle A customer, Ricky Kelly, told NBC affiliate WFLA that he encountered Dẹạdly in a similar situation a couple months ago. Kelly said he had pulled into the same handicap spot, and Dẹạdly began inspecting the decals to see if he had the right to be there. And the situation escalated. So what I want to know from you guys in the chat is, if this guy is repeatedly doing this to people, does he have the right to check and see if they have decals? I say yes. Why the hell not? There's nothing threatening about that. Just don't park in the goddamn spot. Simple. If you don't have the legal right to be in that spot, don't park in it. Why? Because you're going to get some old man that's going to come walk up to you and start an argument with you. Is it worth it? It's not worth it for you to walk a little bit further. We got to stop doing damage to ourselves. We got to stop creating the problem. Do we all understand this? He basically was threatening to shoot me that day, which is what Kelly said. And in 2012, Tyler Smith, age 18, accused a driver later identified as Dẹạdly of hanging a gun outside of his truck window during a road rage incident in Palm Harbor, northwest of Tampa, according to law enforcement's documents obtained by NBC News. Smith, whose account was corroborated by his passenger, told Pinellas County Sheriff's deputy that Dẹạdly began yelling and honking at him when he stopped at a yellow traffic light, the document said. Smith said Dẹạdly then dangled a black handgun from his driver's side window and placed 2 magazines on his truck's dashboard. After Dẹạdly followed the car, the passenger told the deputy, Smith called the sheriff's office to report him, though he didn't want to press charges, according to the documents. If that's the case, they should have pressed charges. Because you're talking about a, what do they call it? You're talking about being able to prove something. And if you don't leave a clear trail or prove that this man has continually done this, because you have to report it, then you're just creating a sense of negligence here, because now if they would have had something else to prove that this man does this to other people, then maybe this situation could be overturned and say, hey, this doesn't qualify under stand your ground. Okay. Now, during an interview with deputies, Dẹạdly said he yelled at Smith and honked his horn after the car cut him off, the documents say. Dẹạdly denied following the vehicle or displaying a Glock that he kept in his truck's center console. No charges were filed in the case, and the documents say that Dẹạdly's concealed weapons license is valid. Let me see how much. Okay, there's a lot more to read. Let me go ahead and show you guys the next video, because this is actually quite a bit that I'm reading. And I don't want to bore you guys to death with this story. No pun intended.
We have that new case testing the stand your ground law. The confrontation started as an argument over a handicapped parking space and escalated to a deadly shooting. Gio Benitez is here with that story. Good morning, Gio.
Yeah, Robin, good morning. It was all caught on camera. The argument, the push to the ground, and the shooting that ended it all. This morning, the man's girlfriend says the shooter got away with murder.
You're looking at surveillance video of a fight over a parking space that ended with an unarmed 28-year-old father of 3 killed. Florida police not charging the gunman, calling it an example of the state's contentious so-called stand your ground law.
I just want justice. I need something to be done, because this is not right.
Brittany Jacobs was sitting in her boyfriend's idling car when, she says, 47-year-old Michael Dẹạdly approached to tell her that she illegally parked in a handicapped spot. Her boyfriend, 28-year-old Markeis McGlockton, had gone into the store to buy snacks for the kids. You can see McGlockton walk out of the store. He sees and hears the argument, runs over, and pushes Dẹạdly to the ground.
He's, pushing this man away from his girl, telling him to get away.
But that's when the irreversible happens. Dẹạdly takes out a gun and shoots McGlockton. McGlockton, holding his chest, runs back into the store. Jacobs and the children watching from the car.
He collapsed in front of my son, and within 30 minutes, he was gone.
McGlockton was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. This morning, there are reports that Dẹạdly, the shooter, has been known to have angry encounters over parking.
Out here, he said he'll shoot me.
The store owner says he's even had to call the cops on him for confronting other customers over parking.
For a parking lot, for a stupid reason, just to argue, just to find someone to argue with.
But police say this shooting was self-defense. The Stand Your Ground law gives Floridians the right to protect themselves if they feel threatened. It was used as the defense argument for former neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman, who killed unarmed 17-year-old Trayvon Martin back in 2012. The shooting and Zimmerman's acquittal sparking national outrage. Back in Clearwater overnight, a girlfriend asking for justice.
He was a good man, and all he was trying to do was just protect his family.
Meanwhile, the local sheriff there says that even though they believe the shooting falls under that stand your ground law, he's not saying he agrees with it. Police will now send the case over to the state attorney's office for a final decision, Robin.
All right, Gio. Joining us now is our senior legal correspondent and analyst, Sunny Hostin, a former federal prosecutor. Good morning, Sunny. I mean, we saw this video and we've been talking about it. Many people have. It's being shoved to the ground justification for this law. And you can see that Markeis was walking away, was going back to his car. He wasn't continuing to confront him.
That's the problem with the stand your ground laws. I mean, it allows a person to use deadly force if he or she reasonably believes that they are in danger of any harm or death. And it also sort of eliminates this duty to retreat. It used to be when you were in public, you had to flee, you had to retreat from a situation. Now, even if the attacker, alleged attacker, is retreating, you can still use deadly force against that person.
I know if they continue to show the video, I know we're stopping it here as he's getting shot, but he was clearly turning and walking back to his car. Oh, so he comes out of the store. He sees this confrontation. We heard in the piece his girlfriend said he was doing nothing more than protecting his family and shoving him to the ground. Why isn't that justification?
Yeah, why wasn't he standing his ground?
Right.
And that's the tricky thing about stand your ground. Perhaps he was feeling threatened. Perhaps he was feeling the need to defend himself and to defend his spouse, to defend his child. But then it shifts when he pushes the other person, and now that person can stand their ground. It's sort of just the wild, wild west. Prosecutors don't like the stand your ground laws. When it was passed in 2005, prosecutors opposed it, law enforcement officials opposed it. But here we are, years later, and 24 states have passed these laws. 24 states? Yeah, or a little over 24.
Okay. We heard in Gio's piece the store owner and others saying that the shooter is known to be having altercations like this, as far as not as shooting, but altercations with people parking. So will that play in if he is charged, play into it, because it's almost like he's looking for a fight?
You would think, but stand your ground laws were meant to allow this kind of behavior. They were meant to make sure that average residents could protect themselves without fear of not only criminal prosecution, but civil prosecution as well. So the question is, will the state's attorney charge this person? If past is prologue, we've seen what happened in the Trayvon Martin case. Prosecutors lose these cases. In Florida, even police officers are using stand your ground. So do I think that he's going to be charged? I really don't think so.
And you can understand why the sheriff probably said putting off on the state attorney.
Well, under the law, believe it or not, even if the sheriff believes that something was wrong, but self-defense applies, stand your ground laws apply, they cannot arrest. They are not allowed to arrest someone.
Say that.
Isn't that something?
So he could not have the right to arrest him, even that?
Even if he realizes something is morally wrong. If this sheriff believes that stand your ground laws apply, he is not allowed under the law to make an arrest, which is why you see the shift to the state's attorney.
That does make sense. All right. Or no sense at all, actually.
Yeah.
All right, Sonny, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
All right. Are you guys ready for this? Are you guys ready for the icing on the cake of my argument? Here we go. For everybody that's still listening, we got about 210 people watching. I think for the 210 people that are watching, y'all are going to be blown away by this. First of all, I'm glad that they brought up the Trayvon Martin case, because that's where originally this law started from. Okay? So here it is. This is Florida. What big rap star just recently got murdered in Florida? You guys remember who that was? I'm going to see who's quick enough to put 2 and 2 together. You've already been given one, which was George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. Now let's go ahead and add XXXTentacion to this. I know you guys are a little bit behind me. I want to see if you guys can figure this out. What does the XXXTentacion murder have to do with this? Everybody's putting X's in the chat. Y'all give up? You give up? I don't see anybody. No, not in threes. I'm not talking about things coming in threes. Good guess though, Tony. Okay. Nobody's caught it yet. Nope, not about color. It is about color, but it's not about color. Check this out. This is how this is related. Not about the parking lot, not about, okay, check it out. Here we go. Here's the correlation. The world got a chance to see how violent black men are once again. You see it with examples of Chicago, aka Chirac, and I'm going to continue to call it Chirac. I don't care how many people don't like that I call it that. It is what it is. Especially when the numbers continue to keep proving that it is one of the most deadly places in the United States of America that has now had more deaths than 2 wars that America has been in recently. Afghanistan and Iraq. Your numbers exceed their numbers combined. With the XXXTentacion case, you have 4 people that were involved in killing one black man over $50,000. Literally over nothing. Like, if it were me, I couldn't imagine what one person could do with $50,000, knowing that they could potentially go to jail for the rest of their life over $50,000. I don't even think it'd be worth the money if it were $1 million, let alone 50,000. Okay? You have evidence, and now you have suspects caught in that case over XXXTentacion. I think they might still be looking for 2 more. But I'll continue to say this. That is an example of how violent black men are, especially considering the fact that 50% of the population in the prison systems is black men. And that's coming from 13% or less of the population in the United States does 50% of the crimes. So if you wonder why the police look at black men as the enemy and as these big brutes, it's because of the fact that the laws are set up to make us look like we are the biggest perpetrators. So what that means is that we just need to follow the freaking laws. Plain and simple. If we're not going to follow the laws, then we are going to always look like the bad men. Case in point, when this big black man walks out of the store and shoves this innocent man down to the ground, he is going to look like he was the one that was going to attack this man. Okay? So what you have is you have too many incidents that you can point at and say, well, yeah, normally this is what black men do. When you get on the ground, they stomp, they hit, they punch, they do this, they do that. You have video evidence that you can point to, and they say that this is generally what black men do. Why? Because you have video evidence of it. And number 2, because the prison population proves that number to be true also. Now, how does the XXX murder relate to this? Because of the fact they're going to look at that and they're going to say, we are tired of black men making people feel scared. Scared for their lives because they're out here doing this and doing that, and they have no regard for the laws. They have no regard for humanity. They don't have any regard for themselves. They're going to continue to use these examples against black men because we are the ones perpetuating the negative stereotypes. Case in point. He walked out. There was no conversation. There was no back and forth. There was no type of dialogue. There was physical force from the time that he walked outside. Boom. So let's just say Mr. Dẹạdly did this intentionally to provoke Mr. Markeis McGlockton into this thing. Let's just say he wanted to provoke this because evidence has also shown that Dẹạdly is known for going up and messing with people at this store, which the store owner has acknowledged that. That's the other part that makes it bad because yes, I can almost guarantee you that Mr. Dẹạdly provoked this to happen. But both sides need to be held accountable. Mr. Markeis McGlockton is dead. He's been held accountable. He's going to be put in the ground. He's dead. So, are we now going to hold Mr. Dẹạdly accountable? You can't just write this off and say, well, it was stand your ground. No, it wasn't, because he was provoking this to happen. So for everybody else that continued to listen to this to the very end, then you guys got a chance to hear what my end thoughts was about this. I'm telling you guys, these laws are being created specifically for black men. I'll say that again if y'all didn't hear me. These laws, like the Stand Your Ground laws, are pointed, are targeting, are created specifically for black men only. Anybody else is just what they call a casualty of war. Anybody else that gets caught up in the Stand Your Ground law is just because you were caught up. You were just one of the unfortunate people of another race that were caught up. This is why I keep telling you guys that the most important place where you can make an impact is in your local elections. They are elected to make these laws. As long as you continue to let these people stay in office that are making these laws, they are going to continue to make laws that is in their best interest, and it is in their best interest to make it less of people that are my skin hue. Boom. How about that? I want you guys to replay this show, send it out to anybody and everybody. I want to know what you guys think about this thing. I don't think any of the rest of this is really super important, but I think that I've given you guys the majority of the story. You guys can go make sure and look this up on all of your news stations and all of that kind of good stuff. But that's my opinion about it. This is your boy DJ Just Jay. We're going to go ahead and sign off like that.